Hey there, welcome to the Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. So today I have the pleasure of having an attorney panel. So we have joined forces, D. Miller and Associates, with Abraham Watkins Law Firm. So today I have the pleasure of having an attorney panel. I have attorney Darren Miller.
Hello.
I have attorney Mohammed Aziz.
Hello.
And I have attorney Hugh Wynn.
Hello.
So I'm going to have them tell you guys a little bit about their experience. I'm going to start on my right-hand side, a little bit about your experience so the viewers out there know exactly what you've handled, whether it's personal injury, transactional law, or even Hurricane Harvey cases.
Okay. My name is Hugh Wynn. I'm working here with Darren Miller and Associates and Abraham Watkins. I'm a transactional attorney. I've gotten involved with Hurricane Harvey cases because I live in the area that was affected downstream close to Memorial. I do mostly transactional commercial law with healthcare related cases.
Wow, that's awesome. So we have some good experience here, some good seasoned attorneys as well. So next is Mohammed Aziz from Abraham Watkins. So do you want to let them know a little bit more about your experience to the viewers that are out there?
Sure, Marty. Thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely.
I'm a partner at the law firm of Abraham Watkins, which is the oldest personal injury firm in Texas, and we work on a large variety of cases. So I've worked on a lot of personal injury cases. In the last 10 years, I've settled over 100 million in claims. And now, after this catastrophic event that happened to our city, we are now involved in Hurricane Harvey cases. Now, in the past, we have also handled Hurricane Ike cases, but obviously that was more of a wind event, not a flooding event of this nature. There was some flooding, but nothing like what we had in Harvey. And so we currently represent, together with your firm, over around 300 plus flooding cases in different neighborhoods and throughout the city. And that's what we're looking for today, is to answer any questions that viewers have regarding their claim.
Absolutely. And just like he said, we're opening up the lines of communications for you guys. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please load them up. We're going to move right along to attorney Darren Miller. So if you want to let them know a little bit more about your experience and what you've done here at D. Miller and Associates.
Thanks, Marty. Hi, I'm attorney Darren Miller. Been practicing for about 19 years, primarily personal injury, mass tort litigation. We got involved in with Hurricane Ike many years ago, of course, and we started dealing with those cases after seeing everything that the folks were getting involved in there. We obviously got deeply involved in this when our city was destroyed with this event, and so we decided, of course, we've got to get back involved to get people, make their lives better.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys are in good hands. This is a serious event. This was Hurricane Harvey that happened in August 29th, and a lot of you guys probably lost your homes or your vehicles and other personal belongings as well. So why we're here is to open up the lines of communications. There's a lot of neighborhoods that have been affected by the Hurricane Harvey development flooding. So we're here to answer any questions that you guys may have. I have the attorneys right here ready to designate their time to you for any questions that you guys may have out there. So who we are, a lot of us, D. Miller and Associates here is a personal injury law firm. So we take care of a lot of cases that have harmed you, personally injured yourself or your home or your belongings. So that is why we're here on any Hurricane Harvey development claims. So I'm going to turn this over to Attorney Mo. So if you want to let them know a little bit more about your experience with this development flooding, so you can let the viewers know what type of experience you have and the type of research that you've also done pertaining to these cases.
Sure, Mari. So basically what we are looking at is what we call man-made flooding. You know, the design of some of these communities and where they were placed in relation to the reservoir or other flood-prone areas is what we're focusing on. And what we have targeted and identified certain communities or subdivisions in the Houston area and also in Chambers County that we believe, and our experts believe, that either those communities should have never been developed to begin with because there was a flood risk, or at minimum, these homeowners should have been told, hey, there's a chance of flooding, we don't have adequate flood control measures, so make sure to get flood insurance. But really, I think they should have never built some of these communities in the areas that they did. And I can talk to you about, give you examples of specific communities and what the issues they were facing during the storm.
Yeah, that's good information. So some people, the development did not tell you where they were building your home or your rights. So that is what we're here for. We're here for those questions that you guys may have. Please, we want to encourage you guys to load them below. Load your questions, your comments, your concerns. If you know of a family member or friend that has been affected, we also would like to reach out to them. So I do want to rest assured and let you guys know that any type of question that you guys may have, if it is a private matter, we'll go ahead and disclose that off camera. We'll have one of these attorneys that are here with me answer the questions that you guys may have, whether it's a direct message, whether it is on your personal Facebook, or even giving you a call. So if you guys have questions and you don't feel comfortable doing it on live Facebook, then we want to encourage for you to give us a call. Give us a call at 713-850-8600. We do have a team here that is ready to take your call with any questions that you may have as well. We do have a question coming up. I want to go ahead and turn that over to the question. So whichever attorney that's here wants to answer that question, you're more than welcome to. So this one's from Carl. So hey, Carl, thank you for your question. Carl saying, I hear that you will have possibly have to hire experts to work on my case. I know that these can be very expensive. Will I have to pay these costs up front? That's a good question. It is a long question, so I'm going to read it again. I hear that you will possibly have to hire experts to work on my case. I know that these can be very expensive. Will I have to pay these costs up front?
I can field that question.
Definitely.
To answer your question directly, no. We're taking these cases on a contingency fee basis, which means, of course, that there's not going to be any fees or expenses to the client unless we do get a recovery. So in terms of you paying up front, we understand that you guys are in the process, of course, of rebuilding your homes, getting your lives back together. We, of course, are absorbing much of those costs until down the line.
Yeah, so a lot of these people lost their home and where you live, where you have your family, and that is a very something dear to your heart. So thank you for that answer, Mr. Miller, as well as thank you, Carl, for your question that you had. So
I'd like to chime in if I may.
Go for it.
That's a great point, Darren. It also goes to the point that we feel so strongly about these cases and the events that unfolded in place that we're willing to have our skin in the game, if you want to say. We're willing to front those costs and not have you guys outlay any money up front because we feel that way.
Right. And just to emphasize the point that if there is no recovery, or if you lose the case, then the client is not responsible for any costs.
Okay, that's good to know. And a lot of these people had a lot of expenses along the way too. Either they were displaced or hotels and stuff like that. So that's good for you guys to know, the viewers out there. I do want to thank you guys. For those of you guys that are tuning in and viewing, I really greatly appreciate you guys liking our page as well as sharing. The more you share, the more people get to be educated about these claims that you guys have on the Hurricane Harvey development flooding. I did mention a little bit earlier that we have joined forces with Abraham Watkins and D. Miller and Associates. So that gives you about 23 attorneys, a cumulative, between both firms that are here to basically fight for your case. So I have the pleasure of having 3 solid attorneys here with me. I'm going to introduce them one more time for those of you guys that are just tuning in. So I have Attorney Darren Miller,
Hello.
Attorney Mohammed Aziz,
Hello.
and Attorney Hugh Nguyen.
Hello.
So they're here for you guys on any questions that you guys may have. Please load up your questions and your comments and or concerns below. That's how we can go ahead and reach your concerns as well. Did you guys want to add anything else that you guys have researched along the way in the meantime that we're waiting for another question to load up?
I've got an interesting comment, Madi. Earlier today, actually, this morning, I got a call from a client wanting to find out, well, hey, look, I do want to get involved, but my concern is this going to be handled as a single type case or a class action? Because I've heard all these negative things about class actions and the fact that the clients don't get their fair due with regards to class actions. I do want to make it very clear that each case is going to be handled on its own individual merit, okay? Although we're going to use the benefit, I think, of the fact that we have a number of people that are similarly situated with regards to their damages. Each case is going to be looked at individually. It's going to be treated individually, and we're going to handle it individually. It's not going to be anything that's related to a class action. It's going to be a contingency case. We're going to evaluate your case on its own merit and make sure we treat it carefully as related to that.
Yeah, I know in the past we actually had another show. Mohammed and I had the pleasure of having a show, and every case is different. Every detail is different. The losses are all different as well. So being case by case is definitely very important as well. So thank you for bringing that up on a client that we had earlier today that had a personal conversation. So thank you for that. We do have another question coming up. Again, this is going to be for whoever, first come, first serve. So this is Larry. Hey, Larry, thank you for your question. So Larry's saying, I think I do have a really good case, but I don't have the money to pay for a lawyer. Can you guys still help me? It's kind of what we've been talking about a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and repeat it one more time for those of you that just tuned in. So I think I do have a really good case, but I don't have the money to pay for a lawyer. Can you guys still help me? This is from Larry.
I'd like to fill that if I
can,
Marty. I think Darren touched on this a little earlier. Right now, we've done the research and we've looked into a lot of cases. If you feel you have a strong case and the facts to help support your case, we're more than happy to talk to you. We're willing to put our interests and align our interests with you in the fact that we're doing all these cases on contingency. What that means is we don't get paid until after you get paid. So we're willing to upfront all these costs that are going into helping to represent you and to fight for your rights. What we're really looking for right now isn't really your money. We're really looking for your voice, because together, when we all represent this action together, we can really move this forward. So that's what we're really looking for.
Yeah. So I just definitely want to put it out there. If you guys have a case, and thank you for that question, give us a call at 713-850-8600. That phone number is also going to be located below. It's going to be pinned at the bottom side, as well as our address. So if you have any questions and you want to come and visit us, feel free to come in and visit us. We want to welcome you guys with open arms. I do want, for those of you guys that are viewing just currently right now, this is a Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. So what this is any development flooding. If you guys have any questions for yourself, family member, or friend on anybody that's been affected with these type of floods, that is what this is here for. For the questions that you guys may have, any questions, comments, or concerns, I have the pleasure of having an attorney panel today to answer any of those questions that you guys may have. Now, the setup is a little bit unique, and you guys all have pretty much experienced this. We basically, the client calls in, we have our intake department, they get all the questions pertaining to your case. So they get all the details, how much you've lost, where you live, where you reside, all that information, and they get it at the beginning of the intake. After that, we really investigate the case. And then we really just look into the experts that are also being taken care of your case. And I don't know if you guys have any comments to speak on that, of any of the experts or what you guys have experienced. I know some of these viewers would love to hear what type of experience you've had with some of the clients and cases that we currently have.
Sure. Well, I can give you some examples of that. So obviously, if there's an issue with the way the neighborhood or the master community was planned, and in relation to the reservoir, we have a team of engineers that look at the construction plans. And so our experts have been going around the county and asking for the construction plans that were submitted to the counties and what type of disclosures were made in the plats, or the actual plats for the houses. And it's a time-consuming process, but it's really important. And just to give you an example, one of the neighborhoods that we are looking at is Windsor Park Lakes. Mm-hmm. And the issue there is that community was developed within the reservoir basin line. And I can explain more if you would like on that at some point.
Absolutely.
So what we found is that as the construction grew in Houston, and we have a great city and it's growing, the developers started building closer and closer to the reservoirs. And at some point, they got to a point that's called the reservoir basin line. and they proceeded to build within that line. And I've got a diagram here that I can use.
Right. Yeah, we would love to see that
to show you. But basically, what we have here, I'll be happy to show this again. Here you see the Barker Reservoir, and the reservoir basin line extends all the way back here. And this is some of the stuff that our experts and legal team have been researching.
This dark black line, huh?
Yes.
For those
Mark.
viewers that are looking, for sure.
So the reservoir extends, till here, but the reservoir basin line is this black line here. And what builders did at some point is they started building within these areas, and these areas flooded during Harvey. And some of the subdivisions that we have, for example, is Windsor Park Lakes is in here. They had flooding, extensive flooding. We represent a number of residents in some of the other subdivisions, but we also have estates of Barker Lane is also within here.
Right.
And so the theory that we have in this case is that the builders and the developers should have disclosed to these homeowners, hey, we're building your homes within an area that the Army Corps of Engineers has identified where the reservoir could extend to. I think that's a disclosure that should be made to every homeowner.
Right.
And so that's just part of the that's just part of one type of case that we're looking at right now. And I'd be happy to identify the communities that we have looked at in that portion. Like I said, we have Windsor Park Lakes, we have estates of Barker Lane, West Side Forest, Park Lake Village, lakes of Buckingham, lakes of Kellywood, are just examples of some.
Right. And I know some of those neighborhoods we are definitely representing, as he's mentioned already. So if you know of anybody and or yourself live in those neighborhoods, please load up your questions below or give us a call at that 713-850-8600. I know we have a number amount of other neighborhoods. If we didn't mention your neighborhood, please load up what neighborhood also got affected. That way we can do some research and see if it's something that we should look into and definitely represent you guys as well. Another one that we also have marketed out there and done another town hall was in Legends Bay. Yes. As well, and that is in Baytown, Texas. So if you guys are watching us and you guys live in that neighborhood as well, I want to welcome you guys to this virtual town hall meeting as well. So we do have another question coming up. This one's from Cindy. So Cindy's saying, I know that you guys are representing a whole bunch of other residents in this case. I don't want to be a part of a class action because it seems like the lawyers get most of the money. How would you guys be handling my case? Now, this actually is funny because we just brought this up a little while ago. So Cindy, you probably just tuned in, and I want to thank you for your question, but we'll go ahead and repeat what the class action means. I'm going to repeat the question because this was kind of long. So Cindy's saying, I know that you guys are representing a whole bunch of other representatives or residents in this case. I don't want to be a part of a class action because it seems like the lawyers get most of the money. How do you guys how would you guys be handling my case?
Well, I guess I'll address this since I just kind of talked about it a little while ago. Sydney, excuse me, is it Sydney?
Cindy.
Cindy, excuse me. Cindy, you would not be being represented by us in a class action. If you allowed us to help you and investigate your case and take a look at things, we would be handling it as an individual contingency fee case, which means we would have the experts come on out, take a look at your situation, view your property, get an opinion as to what the situation and circumstances look like, and then decide whether or not it was something we could move forward on. So it wouldn't be a situation where you'd be handled as in a class action. It would be handled on its own merit based upon your damages, what your case looks like, and whether or not we can assist you.
Yes, every case is different. Every case has its own details associated with it. And I know that's something in my other shows that I've had, that every case has different details, and that's so important, case by case basis. So we will definitely get that information at the intake level when you guys talk to our team and give us a call. Now, once again, that phone number is pinned below. If you guys have any other questions and or concerns, please load them below. You can also give us a call at that 713-850-8600. Now, if you guys have a personal question and don't want to stream it live, you also can load up your questions on the direct message. So I want to invite you guys to do that. And if for some reason the attorneys didn't get to your question and or it's a direct message, we're going to follow up with those questions as well. So I'm going to basically welcome you guys. For those viewers that are just tuning in, it's a Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. So we're welcoming and opening up the lines of communications for you guys. If you guys have any questions pertaining to your case, if you or a family member or friend have been affected by Hurricane Harvey, I want to welcome those questions that you guys may have for the attorneys that I have here today. I have a panel of attorneys. This is just 3 of the many attorneys that we have amongst both of our law firms. So it's D. Miller and Associates and Abraham Watkins have joined forces to come after these cases for you guys. I have the pleasure today of having attorney Darren Miller.
Hello.
Attorney Mohammed Aziz.
Hello.
And attorney Hugh Wynn.
Hello.
Yes, so we're here. We have a lot of experience in the room here to answer any of the questions that you guys may have. I've had a few questions already, so we might have, you guys might repeat some of the stuff that we've already discussed and covered earlier, but that's okay. We want to welcome all your questions. We also have our address located below if you guys want to come and pay us a visit. So I have another question, guys, coming up. This is another long one. So this one's from John. So John's saying, since there are several firms that seem to be involved with this case, I don't want to get stuck with paying lawyers 2 or 3 times. I'm going to need the money to fix my house. Can someone explain the fees? So I know we touched base a little bit about that. The question is just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that. This one's from John. John's saying, since there are several firms that seem to be involved with this case, I don't want to get stuck with paying lawyers 2 or 3 times. I am going to need the money to fix my house. Can someone explain the fees? Who's going to be my lucky one today?
I can explain that, Mari. John, you just have to pay 1 fee to the group of lawyers. Because the fact that Darren and I are working on these cases together does not mean that you'll have to pay 2 fees. We could have other firms associated down the road with certain expertise, but your fee remains the same, and we just split the fees amongst ourselves. So you'll never be in a situation with our group that you'll have to pay more than a single fee, which would be laid out clearly in your contract.
So that's awesome that you guys have a huge panel of attorneys fighting for your case, because just like he said, it's only going to be 1 fee and then everything gets done over here on the back end. So the more the better, so that way we have a strong force fighting after your case against the development flooding. So
and just to add to that, Monty, just
absolutely.
for clarity's sake, because this happened, a question happened like this about a week ago. If we do decide that as a team, you as the homeowner, us as the attorneys, that we want to bring on another attorney to assist us in some endeavor, you as the client, of course, is going to agree to that. You're going to sign off on it. You're not going to be surprised or blindsided by someone else being added to the team without your knowledge. You're going to be part of the decision-making process, and you will sign off to agree that you agree to that type of new relationship.
So that's good feedback, because you're very much so involved in your case. Any updates as well that you guys get along the way, you guys also let the clients know, so you guys are not out there blindsided. We definitely let you guys know any type of changes and or options that come up. So for those of you guys that tuned in, welcome to the Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. So we have joined forces, D. Miller and Associates and Abraham Watkins, and we're here today to answer any questions that you guys may have pertaining to your case, your home, or any family member or friend that has been affected as well.
Monty, you touched on client communication. I just want to speak on that just very quickly.
Absolutely, go for it.
Hugh spends a lot of time dealing with the client questions and the concerns that they have, and the concerns with Muhammad's cases and those issues that do come up. He spends a lot of time calling everyone back, addressing those concerns, making sure everyone feels comfortable with what's going on, the updates with the litigation. So we pride ourselves, all 3 of our firms, with regards to communication, making sure that you know what's going on, because we do understand that this is the biggest investment you've made in your life, and we hold that very carefully and cherish it.
So that's awesome. Yeah, we're here to definitely help you guys. So you are getting responses from one, if not Hugh, which is on my right-hand side, and giving you guys the information and or questions. And I know you've also reached out to anybody that has loaded the questions up directly on Facebook as well.
Yes, thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
I've taken it on as my personal responsibility and my personal mission to answer the questions and comments personally as my responsibility. I also reach out via text or voicemail. It's not unusual for me to be texting 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night to some of the clients that have reached out to us. So yes.
The good thing is that we have great technology nowadays, so we can definitely text, emails, even on the social media platforms. We're here and can reach out any shape or form.
I think my wife would disagree that it's a good thing. But
so definitely, if you guys have a question, and I want to go ahead and address this again, if it is a private matter, Attorney Hugh will definitely follow up with giving you a call, if not a direct message, if it is a private matter. So I do have another question coming up. So you guys are definitely giving us the questions and making these attorneys work. So thank you guys for that. This one's another long one. So I'm going to read this one kind of slow. This one's from Jenny. So hey, Jenny. Jenny's saying, I live in Cinco Ranch Equestrian Village. I have lived here for 11 years. I think I have a good claim against a developer. If I move forward with the claim, is there a chance that I could lose ownership of my house? I lost enough during the hurricane and I don't want to be victimized again. So I'm going to read that one more time because it was long. So we want to appreciate Jenny for reaching out to us and letting us know your personal matter. I know this is a tough matter. So Jenny's saying, I live in Cinco Ranch Equestrian Village. I have lived here for 11 years. I think I have a good claim against the developer. If I move forward with the claim, is there a chance that I could lose ownership of my house? I lost enough during the hurricane and I do not want to be victimized again. Thank you, Jenny, again for that.
Good. So let me take that here and then you can follow up.
Sure.
Jenny, thank you for the question. So I think I mentioned this earlier, Mari, that Cinco Ranch Equestrian Village is one of the communities that was built within the reservoir basin line.
Right.
That's the area that, and
let's show them again for sure.
The map. But this is the area where a lot of the development was done without any disclosure to the homeowners that this was within an area that the Army Corps of Engineers had suggested or told the developers that could flood. So this line is typically, the red line is typically where the reservoir is. The black is where the Army Corps had told the developers, hey, under a heavy flood, under a heavy rain, this is where the water is going to go to. And guess what? This is where the water went to, Mari, in the plain. So Cinco Ranch Equestrian Village is located within there. And I do think, Jenny, that you have a claim against your developer. But to answer your question, there's no way that you could lose the ownership of your house by being part of a claim against your developer. I mean, you could lose ownership due to other reasons, financial reasons, and so forth. But being involved in this claim, our hope is to get you recovery so that you can keep your house and you can recover all of the things that you lost during this flooding. And so to answer your question, you can't lose your house. In fact, our hope is to get you a financial recovery so that you can maintain your house.
I 100% agree with Attorney Muhammad. A lot of misinformation has gone back and forth with a lot of the clients that are calling me and asking questions. I just want to maybe take a step back and take a look at some of the possible claims and misinformation that's going about there. You may have a possible claim against your developer for misdeveloping that property, as Attorney Muhammad has said. You may also have a claim against the U.S. Corps of Engineers for mishandling the information, against your constitutional rights to own property as a U.S. citizen or somebody that is protected under the U.S. Constitution. You may also have a contract claim against your HOA or other people that should have maintained your property correctly. So like Marty said, each individual case is different, but we would be happy to look into it. And I totally 100% agree with Muhammad. There is absolutely no way, just by being involved in a claim and representing you and standing up for your rights, would you be in jeopardy of losing your home. There's other reasons why you may lose your home. For example, not paying the bill, but not being involved in a claim. No.
So thank you guys for that, and thank you for your question. If you guys are a client of ours, I know the attorneys would not hesitate in also showing you guys this development that I know Attorney Mohammed was going over. So we'll be more than happy to share that with you as well. For those of you guys that are tuning in, this is D. Miller and Associates joining forces with Abraham Watkins, and we're here to open up the lines of communication for any questions that you guys may have during a Hurricane Harvey development, flood claim, or a claim. If you guys have a question for these guys, these attorneys that are here devoting their next few hours with you guys, that is what they're here for, to answer any questions. If it's a neighborhood that we haven't talked about, please load up your neighborhood below. We would like to research a little bit more about it. I know, just speaking about the type of cases that we have a cumulative between the two firms about 300 cases.
Right.
So any experience or any type of research that, I know we talked about it earlier, but that you want to tell the viewers that just tuned in, anything that you guys found out, or any expert witnesses that you guys got to meet and or speak to, that you would like to let our viewers know that they're in good hands.
Sure, Marty. So whenever we have this type of a situation, the first thing we do is hire a good team of experts. And in this particular case, we've got a hydrologist expert, we've got civil engineers who've actually themselves planned master communities. So these experts that we have themselves planned master communities. They know how the permitting process works. And most importantly, I think they have expertise in, if you're going to design a neighborhood or a new development close to a body of water, then what precautions need to be taken and what disclosures need to be made to these home buyers. Like you said earlier, buying a home is probably the biggest investment that 99% of our citizens do. And on top of that, unfortunately, most of the flooded homes do not have flood insurance. And so that leaves people in a really bad situation where they're at risk of losing their homes.
Right. So thank you for sharing that research that you've done as well. So just want to make you guys very comfortable of any questions that you guys may have. I have very well experienced attorneys here in front of us. The panel of attorneys, I'm going to introduce them one more time. I have Attorney Darren Miller.
Hello.
Attorney Mohammed Aziz.
Hello.
And Attorney Hugh Wynn.
Hello.
So they're here to answer any of those questions. I know they have worked with some of you guys that are probably watching right now hands-on, and or answered any questions that you guys may have, or even if you guys are a client. We want to welcome all of you guys. If you know of any family member or friends that probably live in the neighborhoods that we've mentioned, which is in the Katy area, and we'll go over those here in a second, we want to also welcome you guys to give them our phone number, and we can go ahead and address those questions or concerns that they may have. I do have another question coming up. This one is from Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas. Nicholas is saying, I understand that these claims are very tricky and that you must know the law in order to proceed. How much experience do you guys have in handling these types of claims? How many of these cases do you guys currently have? Great question. I know we just went over that. I feel like they're reading our minds, just coming out and viewing. So we had the attorneys let you guys know a little bit about their experience, and I'm going to have them do that one more time. But let me repeat the question for those of you guys that are tuning in. So Nicholas is saying, I understand that these claims are very tricky and that you must know the law in order to proceed. How much experience do you guys have in handling these types of claims? And how many of these cases do you guys currently have? So let's go ahead and start with Attorney Wynn.
Between the firms, we have a cumulative about 300 cases. And when I say 300 cases, we're talking about cases from inverse condemnation cases, developer cases, insurance cases. A lot of you guys out there are asking, well, what do I do? I was flooded. What do I do? Well, it really depends on your particular circumstance and what you're dealing with. So some of our clients are dealing with insurance companies that are underpaying them. Some of our clients, like Attorney Mohammed said, don't even have flood insurance. Some of our clients are asking their neighbors, well, why did our whole neighborhood flood? So these are the kind of questions that we're getting that we'd like to answer for you. So it takes a lot of knowledge and know-how to just weed through all that, and we're trying to do it for you.
And I know combined, we have over 50 years of combined experience experience. I know I said earlier that we have about 23 cumulative attorneys within both firms. So you do have a lot of experience here. Do you guys want to speak about the experience that you guys have as well?
Well, I wanted to add to what Attorney Wynn mentioned earlier with regards to this situation. I think it's very important that because each one of these cases is somewhat unique, we're going to have the experts come out to your homes to visit with you, to see what the situation looks like, to map out the circumstances for you. While we'll be very honest with you, not everyone is going to be eligible for this particular case. But even in those situations, one of the things we definitely want to do is get answers for the clients. So at least they have some type of closure. If it's not financial, at least they've got better answers to what's going on and how to move and making better decisions as they move forward.
That's such a great point, Darren. A lot of these clients and a lot of the calls I get are very hesitant to get involved because they don't want to be involved in a quote-unquote class action suit. And I routinely tell them this is not a class action suit. We're not going to be representing you in a big class. It's not like your house suffered the same damages as even your neighbors, much less people down the street. A lot of you hear about, big class actions like Blockbuster or where an airbag goes out. Well, those damages are very similar because everybody rented the same video and paid the same amount of money for the Blockbuster video. Here, we're going to be sending out experts to quantify and qualitatively diagnose and figure out how much and where your damages are. So each house is individual. Each claim is individual.
Yeah, so that's awesome. We do also have a team here between D. Miller and Associates and Abraham Watkins. We have a team here that takes pride in communicating with you guys as well as getting all the information. We have a cumulative over 300 cases, but every case is different and unique. So we want to welcome those questions that you guys may have. Please load your questions below. I know I have another one coming up. So they're definitely making you guys work today. So this town hall meeting is definitely working for us. If you have any concerns, and some of you guys might just even say, what do I do? Like, I've been flooded. I don't know what to do. Do I even have a claim? That is some of the questions that we have received. And I know that some of these attorneys have also answered those questions, even if you don't think you have a claim. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question, which is Samantha. Samantha is saying, what happens if we go through this case with you and you don't win? Will I be stuck with my expenses that I can't afford to pay back? I'm having a difficult enough time rebuilding my home. So thank you, Samantha, for giving us that question. I'm going to go ahead and ask it again. Whoever is willing to answer that question, feel free. So what happens if we go through this case with you and you don't win? Will I be stuck with my expenses that I can't afford to pay back? I'm having a difficult enough time rebuilding my house.
I guess I can answer that particular question. That's a great question, Samantha. We cover that question a lot, hear that question a lot, especially with people losing their homes and trying to rebuild and everything else. It is a contingency fee contract, which means that if we are not successful, we will not be sending you any bills. We'll basically be eating the cost of our time, the time of experts that put their time and effort into the case. And of course, we're not going to be billing you anything unless we do get a recovery on your behalf.
Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I think that pretty much covers it. As Darren said, if there's no recovery, they don't owe us anything.
Yeah, so that is called the contingency basis. I know we went over that a little bit earlier, but we want to welcome and thank you for that question as well. I do want to mention some of the neighborhoods that we are representing currently. If you know of anybody that falls in this neighborhood, or if you have a neighborhood that we didn't mention, please load it below. We would like to do a little bit more research on the development flooding as well. I know, just to name a few, and I know Attorney Mohammed mentioned some a little earlier. Windsor Park Lakes, Estates of Barker Lane, Westside Forest, Park Lane Village, Lakes of Buckingham, Lake Forest of Kellywood. I know we do have Legends Bay as well. That's just to name a few. That's not all of them. So please don't think if I didn't mention your neighborhood that you just can't participate. Absolutely not. Please go ahead and let us know. Every case is different. We look into and really investigate your case as to what happened, where, and all that good stuff. So I have another question loading up. We have about 15 more minutes, so I want to encourage you guys to load up your questions and comments or concerns that you guys may have. Load them below. We have 15 more minutes with this awesome panel of attorneys here that are here to answer your questions. So
Marty,
go for it.
If I could ask Mohammed a question. Did you have an opinion with regards to Cinco Ranch? What's the situation out there?
So then the Cinco Ranch subdivision, so there's the greater Cinco Ranch development. And part of that goes into what he was talking about was the inverse condemnation cases, which I know your firm is handling as well. There's a particular Cinco Ranch subdivision, which is the Equestrian Village, which is a newer development and was built within the reservoir basin line. And that is a neighborhood that we think has a claim not only against the Corps of Engineers, but also against the developer, because they were not disclosed the risk of where they were being built.
Okay.
So thank you for that, guys.
Okay.
I know the developers have a really strong responsibility to let you guys know about where your home is being built. And I know these attorneys, the panel of attorneys I have today, have all that information of what they're supposed to disclose for you guys. So please load up those questions. I want to welcome any questions that you guys may have pertaining to your case. I also want to welcome those of you guys that are just viewing right now. Welcome to the Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. So I have a panel of attorneys here today. They're here to answer any questions that you guys may have. If you guys ask any questions at a later time, I know I have Attorney Hugh that answers your questions personally, whether it's a direct message, he gets your phone number and gives you a call or a text message. There's so many options that we can get a hold of you to answer your questions and help you guys. I also have Attorney Mohammed Aziz and Attorney Darren Miller here with us. And accumulative, we have about 23 attorneys between two law firms. So D. Miller and Associates and Abraham Watkins has joined forces together. I have a question loaded up right now, and this one's from James. James is saying, once I decided to sign up with you guys, what is the next step? How long will it take to get things going? What else do I need? What do you guys need from me? Excuse me. So one more time, I'm going to read that one. So once I decide to sign up with you guys, what is the next step? How long will it take to get things going? And what else do you guys need from me?
I'd like to take that if I may.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is I congratulate you for making the right decision. And then we get our girls to give you a call and basically work right alongside with you getting your documents out. We send an adjuster out to quantify and qualitatively document your damage, and we work up a damage model from there. We collect evidence and we work up your case. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. Just to kind of add on from there, obviously, as Darren and Hugh mentioned before and Mari mentioned, there's different types of claims. And depending on what type of claim your case falls in, then we would ask you to obviously preserve all your damage information, but also we review, if you're looking at a case against developers, we look at the plat. We go and we send our engineers and experts to go pull the documents from the city to see what was disclosed in the plat. We also ask to see your sale documents to see what type of disclosures, if any, were made in your sale documents by your builder. And so there's just some examples of the type of things we look at, in addition to sending our experts to your house to document the damage. In some situations, we've had to send engineers out to the levees around your homes to see how they performed in this event. As you know, a lot of these subdivisions did not have a levee breach, as in the water did not come over the levee. However, in some instances, we have a situation where there used to be a levee, and the developer, as this kept on developing, took that levee out, and it effectively removed the flood control system that was in place.
Yeah, that could definitely do some damage. So I want to thank you for that question, James. And in y'all's experience, the attorneys that are here with me, how long typically do these type of cases take in the state of Texas? I'm pretty sure every case is different, as we've already mentioned, so everything could kind of really depend. But does anybody have, how long this could potentially take?
It's hard to It's hard to give an estimate. However, I do think that these cases are going to be fought hard. There's defenses that the developers are going to rely upon, and so it's going to be hard to give a time frame. What I can tell you, and I think Darren and Hugh would agree with me, that unless you start that process, the clock doesn't start ticking, right? So, I mean, even if a case is going to take 3 years or 2 years, that 2-year clock does not start ticking until you contact our group, get your case evaluated, and get it filed.
So if you think you have a claim, or even if you don't, please give us a call. Just like he said, the clock starts ticking, so you don't want to wait any longer. I know the hurricane happened in August 29th, so please give us a call. That's 713-850-8600. Give us a call if you think you have a claim, if you have a question. We do have a team full to go ahead and answer any questions, and then we have the attorneys here today to answer any of those questions. And I know Attorney Hugh's the one that's a little bit hands-on on any direct questions.
I am. I like to be hands-on about it. I've fielded a lot of questions, and a lot of people have come to me with their concerns. So it's great to be involved like that.
Well, that's awesome. You guys are in great hands. It sounds like we have very seasoned attorneys here, and there's some that are not even on camera that are out there doing the research as we speak to fight for you guys and the type of the cases that you guys have. I have one question coming up, so thank you, Dan. This one's from Dan. This one might be a little bit tricky, and some of these questions we might need a little bit more information, so please load if we need more information. But can we still file a claim if we rent an apartment in the area that maybe got flooded, I'm assuming? So please load up a little bit more details. Dan is saying, can we still file a claim if we rent an apartment?
Well, okay, so that depends on what type of claim you'd have. You obviously wouldn't have a claim against the developer of the apartment because you'd be renting and you'd have a personal property damage. But if you have an insurance claim, such as a renter's insurance, you may possibly have a claim. You may also possibly have a claim for an inverse condemnation claim for your rental property and your personal property. So
that leads me to the next question. So do you want to explain to the viewers what is an inverse claim? For those that are watching right now and they just probably don't know exactly what that entails, would you be able to elaborate a little bit more? An
inverse condemnation claim is basically a subset of what we call a takings claim. And basically, if I had to just give my 10-second elevator speech on it, it would be as a constitutional right to own property in the United States of America, you have that right to own property unfettered and untouched and uncontrolled, for the most part, by the U.S. government. And when the U.S. government takes actions such as release levies, permit unregulated building and unregulated permitting, it allows it essentially a taking that the government basically went in and controlled and took and damaged your property.
That's awesome.
And so to add to what Hugh has mentioned there, I think it's just important to note that, again, as soon as the decision was made to flood the areas, okay, it's our contention and it's our belief that many of you guys as homeowners have claims for inverse condemnation and should seek recompense for the damages that you suffered to your home. So we'd be more than glad to talk to you about that, to discuss those issues with you, to explain this very interesting and the area of the law that most people aren't accustomed to. So give us a shot and we'll be glad to field your questions.
I'd like to add on to that, Darren. We're not, I get a lot of questions or comments saying, well, if they wouldn't have released the levies, worse would happen. Well, we're not saying they made a decision that was poor, and we're not saying they made a decision that was great. What we're saying is, by your U.S. constitutional rights, they damaged and took your property. And there's case law out there that basically says you have to be compensated for it. It's nothing more than if they came and decided to put a freeway in your house. Many, many studies could say that that freeway would benefit the society as a whole, but you still have to be compensated.
Right.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for that information. I know some of our viewers definitely appreciate a little bit more of knowing what an inverse case is. So I want to thank you guys, and we're going to pretty much wrap it up here shortly. We have time for maybe one more question that I know is coming through right now. I want to let you guys know that we're here to help you guys. Any questions that you guys may have pertaining to your case on the Hurricane Harvey development flooding, I have a panel of well-experienced attorneys here to answer any of those questions. But if you're watching this at a later time and you have a question, please load it up. I know I have Attorney Hugh that follows up with any question, comment, or concern. That way we can get a team member or our intake department to get on the phone with you guys,
Sure.
right? So our last question for today, and we're going to wrap it up, is Margaret. So thank you, Margaret. You are our last question. Unless one comes in, we're definitely going to go ahead and try to get it in there. So Margaret is saying, and this is probably in relationship to what we were just talking about, if an inverse case and we have insurance as well, how does that work? If I have an inverse case and we have insurance as well, how does that work? So an inverse case and insurance, I'm guessing. Margaret, if we can elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, so they are interrelated because in our day and age and in America, the flood insurance is funded by the national government, but it is a separate right and a separate claim. Eventually, they may have some intertwining as far as the damages because you can't really double dip as far as the damages. But let me just say the insurance policy that you purchased, bought, and paid for every month is a private contract that you paid for, which you have rights under. Your inverse case is based upon your constitutional right to own property. So they are separate as far as the basis on what we're claiming under. But in the end, they may have some intertwining as far as the damaging and the damage model because the insurance policies are unfortunately funded by the government.
So that's a great question. I want to thank Margaret for that question. And if you guys are watching at a later time and you just didn't get to ask the question, we actually are doing a live sector tomorrow, and it's going to be myself, your host, Madi B, as well as Attorney Mohammed Aziz tomorrow from 3 to 4. Same channel. We're going to be talking exactly a little bit more about these type of cases. Sure. All types of neighborhoods as well. We're not just pinpointing on one. So if you have a question and you just didn't really get to ask it, please come tomorrow as well on our live sector, which is called Talk to Me Tuesday from 3 to 4. And load up your questions there. It's just going to be one attorney tomorrow because their schedules are super busy. However, that way we can answer and address any of those questions. I will ask the panel of attorneys today, do you guys have any closing statements and or comments that you guys would like to make to our viewers currently right now?
I'd like to just go back to what Attorney Mohammed said. If you don't ask and you don't know and you don't start the process, then it will never begin and it will never end. So if you have a question, feel free to ask and we'll be happy to answer it. Anyone
else? That's pretty good. All right, so if you guys have a question on your case, please give us a call at 713-850-8600. And this is D. Miller & Associates, PLLC, joining forces with Abraham Watkins. We want to welcome your questions even after the show. We also will be available for you guys tomorrow. The phone number and the address is located below, so if you guys have any questions, we are here to help you with the questions that you may have. Thank you so much for joining us today in our Hurricane Harvey virtual town hall meeting. Bye.